Why do I keep repeating self-sabotaging cycles?
Right away is an image of someone like basically walking around in a circle and circle. It's almost like an ingrained pattern that it's just almost like on autopilot. Like this feels good. I kind of know the path. I'm not really thinking. It almost just feels like an autopilot going around and round.
I know
Okay.
cycles are meant to go in circles, but I don't like this one.
They're showing like a man turning into a boy going in circles. So this is a very old pattern from a young age, and it feels like about safety. Like it feels safe to be going in these patterns.
Yes, my response to things are always to like dig in and to just keep myself safe. And a lot of times I go into like a shutdown mode, and then it is like an autopilot for me after that.
We develop these protective parts that can be self-sabotaging because we needed something at that time to be safe. So I'm going to see if there's any specific, like maybe willing to shift now that you're sober. What I'm hearing is like you get a choice to really live differently. And so there's a chance to really pivot away and stop going in those circles and really create a new path for yourself. But it's going to be uncomfortable. And I really feel like a really strong belief from your angels and your spirit guides that they really believe that you can do this. Hi, I'm Sam Franklin, intuitive, healer, and psychotherapist. In this podcast, you'll hear real life sessions where I open the Akashic Records, connect with angels, offer energy healing, and guide my guests through deep soul transformation. Each session begins by opening the Akashic Records, or the energetic library of the soul, to receive clarity and guidance. Next, I set sacred intentions and invite loving support from the angels, spirit guides, ancestors, and all other spirits who are here for the highest good and healing. Throughout these sessions, I explore soul purpose, soul connections, and soul gifts. I also examine the deeper roots of challenges, including past life lessons and how they shape the present, to help my guests reconnect with their truth and step into the life they're meant for. Whether you're here out of curiosity or on your own healing journey, I invite you to listen with an open heart. You might just hear something your soul's been waiting for. Let's dive in. All right. Well, hi, Jamie. Welcome
Right.
in.
Thank you.
I'm excited to jump in and kind of see, where did you want to start? What question do you have?
I originally was going to start with something easy, but I think I'm just going to go to why do I keep repeating self-sabotaging cycles?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Just take a moment to tune in here and then messages will start to flow. I just kind of walk you through what's coming through as it's coming through. So right away is an image of someone like basically walking around in a circle and circle, kind of acknowledging the question, and that there tends to be a repetition of things. Um, it's almost like it feels like an ingrained pattern that it's just almost like on autopilot. Like what I'm kind of sensing in this person that's going around and around in circles, it's just like, this feels good. I kind of know the path. I'm not really thinking. It almost just feels like an autopilot going around and round, almost that like to break that pattern and the self-sabotage, would almost like have to like wake you up a little bit from that autopilot and then make an intentional shift. But there's like a question mark of like, what would that look like, or what do I need to do? Is that kind of like there's like a question about that?
It is. It's just come to my awareness that I've been doing these self-sabotaging cycles, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm trying to figure out how to break free from that.
Yeah. Do you want to explore like what the self-sabotage is, where it comes from, and how to work through it? I mean, there's a lot of ways we can do all of that, but
Yeah, I'd like to know where it comes from, and then how I can
mhm.
deal with it better, or break free of that cycle. I know
Okay.
cycles are meant to go in circles, but I don't like this one that much. So,
Yeah, well, they're showing like keep going in circles, you're just gonna get dizzy and fall down. So
right.
want to go forward on your path is the goal. So let's see kind of what started this. So they're showing like a man turning into a boy going in circles. So this is a very um old pattern from a young age, and it feels like about safety. Like it feels safe to be going in these patterns. Like I feel like I'm in control is the feeling. When you think about your self-sabotage behaviors, does there feel like there's any connection of like being in control or feeling safe?
Definitely, yes, definitely. I have yes, my response to things are always to like dig in and to just keep myself safe. And a lot of times I go into like a shutdown mode,
Mm-hmm.
and then it is like an autopilot for me after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think that's, I mean, that's so common with people of we develop these protective parts that can be self-sabotaging because we needed something at that time to be safe. So I'm gonna see if there's any specific, like, what about this was developed, like why maybe we can thank that part for maybe doing that work and then see if it's maybe willing to shift or what that would look like. So is there any like specific behavior you want me to focus on or just more in general self-sabotage?
um, well, I seem to cause a lot of conflict with my wife through this self-sabotaging. So I would really like to heal that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I want to be able to apologize when I should apologize instead of not. And I want to be able to say the things I want to say instead of holding on to them all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels like when I'm getting, because like as a kid, it didn't feel safe to really speak your truth. Is that true?
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't abused or anything. I was in a split family where I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. I
Mm-hmm.
was the only child between my parents, and they both have their own children. And I just kind of felt like I was always in the middle
Mm-hmm.
and alone all the time. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there just feels like no one's like listening. There's not space for me. Almost feeling like it would be a burden to share what I'm feeling. Does that feel true now?
I do feel like that sometimes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
very much like a burden.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of what I'm getting is like, and I know this is true kind of from my own personal experiences and working with a lot of clients over the years, is like when we withhold and we don't share vulnerable stuff, there's a disconnection there in our relationships. Like people struggle to feel close to us, they struggle to understand us, and then we kind of repeat this. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then I don't feel seen and I don't feel understood. Like I'm worried someone's not going to understand and kind of why bother? My voice doesn't matter. This is going to burden them. I'll keep it to myself, but then they don't understand. Why don't they understand that I'm in pain? Why don't they understand what I'm going through? Because the other person has no idea, right? And then it kind of just reiterates of like, well, why bother? No one's going to understand and no one cares about me.
Right. That does sound right on
Mm-hmm.
the mark.
Yeah. So I'm gonna connect in with that younger boy part to see like what does he need to feel like he can speak up and kind of start to shift this behavior, because when I tune into him he feels very like timid, shy, scared. Um he gets a sense that like your wife is a safe person, but it's almost like in general he just feels scared and like and wants to withhold. So I'm just going to see maybe what he needs to move forward. um More what I'm hearing is like trust building outside of the moments when it's like heightened emotions. So when you're in a good place, having conversations with your wife about like in general, I struggle with, XYZ. Or, sometimes when you do this, I shut down. I don't know why, or this is what's happening for me. Like talking about the patterns outside of the moments, just to start, what I'm seeing is like a bridge being built. And that's like the trust being built. So then that younger part of you feels like, okay, I'm gonna see how she responds. I'm gonna see how this feels. Does this feel safe? And as like there's a positive experience, then we work our way up to in the moment, I'm feeling this and I share this. How does that sound?
That's really good and insightful, I feel like. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have more about this topic that you want to explore, like moving forward?
Um, is there any limiting beliefs that are
Mm-hmm.
affecting this cycle, or maybe any past life stuff that isn't included into this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Those are good
Like,
questions.
has it been my pattern always,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. I'm gonna check in on limiting beliefs and like, can you continue exploring this life? And then we'll kind of see if there's other past lives, whether it's been the same pattern or something else has happened that made you feel like you needed to shift your pattern in this life in this way. So let me see about limiting beliefs. Oh, it's just like the biggest one is like it's just not safe. It doesn't feel safe to speak my truth. Um, I'm not allowed to take up space. I don't deserve to take up space. There's just a lot of like feeling like shrinking and being small, like feeling invisible and feeling the need to stay invisible, and that it's just unsafe. Um, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but like what I'm hearing and like witnessing is like a scene of like a young kid saying something like they're upset about something and parents being like, stop complaining or like it's not that big of a deal, like just kind of shutting that down. I don't know if that happened at all.
not to my recollection,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. I mean, like, I don't remember a lot when I was a kid, but I
Mm-hmm.
do go to therapy for childhood trauma as of right now. So, I mean, like, I have a lot of childhood stuff I am working through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as
Just
you kind of do that kind of childhood work and that part of you maybe starts to feel more empowered or healed, like some of that might start to shift. But there's a lot of those limiting beliefs of just like, I need to stay small and keep things to myself to be safe and to be loved. Like, if I can just keep the peace, then maybe I'll get more love or affection.
that might be. I also just slipped my mind. Keep going. I'm sorry, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
no,
I'll
no
think of it in a
worries.
second.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm trying to see if there's anything else around limiting beliefs. Let me just check in to see how maybe you could shift it. If there's any other information about that. A lot of it seems to come back to like self-worth and self-love. Like if I believe that I deserve to have a voice, I believe that I deserve to speak up, to speak my truth, that like my needs matter, my words matter, my emotions matter, that that is the shift that will then help you to speak up. But I'm also hearing that like you might need to do behave different behaviors first before that belief shift. Like there might be a I'm speaking up even before I feel like I deserve to speak up, and so that maybe comes a little bit first.
all right.
Mhm. um Let me see, do you want to start exploring the past lives?
Um, I just had, well, I guess this is kind of related. Why do I have such a hard time liking people?
Mm.
And how can I change that? Or is it just all going to go back to feeling safe around people? I feel like, but
Mhm. Yeah, let me see. Were there any instances of like peers? I'm just seeing like playground scenes of like peers either like teasing or bullying or kind of making fun of. I don't know if you had any of that in your
very,
childhood.
very much so. Very much so. Yes, I used to get bullied when I was a child
Hmm.
to the extent where I would come home and cry every day.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, kids used to flick my ears and just make fun of like every general thing about me for the
Yeah.
longest time. And then I eventually got into junior high and I started using drugs.
Hmm.
And I was an addict for over 20 years.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. I mean, when we have really painful experiences, we usually find ways to numb the pain or deal with the pain. And when we're young, we don't have a lot of options. You know, if our parents aren't there to really help us through that, we might turn to things like substances or other things. Because it is really painful to be kind of bullied and picked on that often in that way. Um,
right,
and so there's so much hurt there with that younger version of you. So it feels like a trust issue. Like, how can I trust other people when they've hurt me from such a young age? Core people in my life, like maybe family, peers. Um, and it's not like always when I come back to this younger part, he just feels so shy and timid, like just really hesitant to approach people. And not like there's any like I hate people, or it's just more of like, how do I know that you're not gonna hurt me is what comes up.
That's right on or spot on, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm trying to see like how kind of, I think a lot of working through this is like figuring out how do you trust people? How do you know that you can trust someone? Like what are the signs? Because um and then obviously risking, right? We have to take a risk and trust someone, but we also want to make sure that we try to trust and open up more with safe people first. So the recommendation is like start with people that you know or feel are already safe or safer in your life and see if you can peel back more of the layers of yourself, like share a little bit more of something that's vulnerable. You don't have to like dive deep into like your hardest trauma, but just something like today I'm feeling anxious and I don't know why, like as an example. And just seeing how that person responds, seeing what that's like, almost like exposure therapy.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'll try that. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I have a very limited amount of people to talk to right now because I just have not been able to make friends since I became sober, but
Hmm.
I will give it a shot.
Yeah. I mean, sobriety is a whole new way of being in life and a way of relating to people. And that takes time to adjust to. Um, and also, when we've been using substances, there's so much stuff that we've stuffed down. And that's just like kind of overwhelming when it's all kind of pouring out or we're processing it. And then trying to show up and relate to people without this like crutch, right? That we've used for so long. Um,
Right.
then there's so much more probably anxiety, our limiting beliefs, our wounds, our traumas that we've kind of numbed with the substance. Now all of a sudden it's very present, and so that just makes it harder to. You're kind of what they're showing me is like a baby learning how to walk again, like you're learning how to move through the world again in this new way, and that takes time.
Makes sense.
Yeah. There's a like a they're bringing in a question of like, do you have a sober community, or is there a way to start exploring relationships with other people who are sober?
I mean, I don't do NA or anything like that,
Mhm.
but I'm sure there's something out there I could try to find. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's yeah, we don't live in that big of a town,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's 10,000 people, but yeah, I don't do any. Maybe there's some other kind of groups out there. There's some,
Yeah. What's really common that people struggle with is trying to find that community outside of those like kind of stereotypical communities. And
well, and
so,
the other,
thinking about like what are other spaces or communities or hobbies that tend to have sober friendly spaces. Like spirituality can be one of those, but there might be other like hobbies, or like they're just bringing in, for example, like people maybe like a board game gathering where people are playing board games. Maybe there's alcohol, maybe there's not, but there might be other like hobbies and events where you could test out to see like how sober friendly is this.
right? All right, that makes sense.
And
Right.
if you feel
One of the
comfortable
things
bringing
that,
someone that you trust to an event like that, if it feels very overwhelming, that's just what they're bringing in as a suggestion.
all right.
Yeah. Did you want to explore more about this stuff or other things? Did you want to go to the past lives?
Yeah, we can go to just let me read all this stuff here. Yeah, we can go into past lives.
Past lives?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. I'll first ask about one attached to like kind of these behaviors that we've been talking about, limiting beliefs, and then I'll ask in general. Okay, let's talk about a past life. I'm seeing someone, I'm hearing like a welder, being a welder in that life, and just seeing kind of like hammering away on like steel and things like that. See why they're bringing this life up. What happened in this life, or what about this life? So there was like you were like it was a small town and you were like the town welder, and so you had a lot of interactions with people. Like you were the main kind of go-to for doing different things for the town. And so very well liked in that life, and very well needed. And that just felt good. Kind of like you didn't have to go to people, people came to you because they obviously need something, but then you would sit and chat. And um I don't see really any like intimate relationships, close relationships, but you felt really connected to the town. Let me see how this is connected to the limiting beliefs and self-sabotage. Well, one thing that's coming up is there is kind of this belief system that formed of like, I don't need to go to people, people come to me, and almost like this passivity that feels like it's showing up in this life of like, you know, waiting for maybe people to come to you. Because that I almost felt like that was easier in that life. Like there was maybe some anxiety or something or fear about going out to intentionally meet other people. It almost feels like you never left your shop or your home. Like your shop and your home were one and the same. And so it felt like that was your safe space. And it felt really like when I think about leaving that space, it's almost like the word agoraphobia comes up, like just panic and like really hard to leave the house. And so when you're in that safe space, people could come to you and it was great. But it was a real barrier because you couldn't leave. And that's why partly you really didn't have a lot of intimate relationships. And so some of that feels like it's carried over of the world is a dangerous place. That's the belief that came through. And it's safer to just stay in my little space versus venture out. How's this sounding?
I mean, I feel like I've relived the same thing in this lifetime as well. Well, when I was a addict, I used to sell drugs, and people would come to me and I would stay at home basically. I mean, sometimes I would leave, but not very often. I like to. And I did. I talked to people, and that was how I cultivated all my relationships. And now I don't want to have any relationships with any of those people anymore. So it makes it tough, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see why maybe like this similar pattern showed up in this life. Um, it really is like an ability to do it differently. Like, and then there's a real challenge around it because there's such a strong pull to stay at home. And that's hard to leave the house. Almost feels like it's tied to kind of worth of like, if I'm not providing for both of these lives, if I'm not providing something for someone, so like doing a service or providing drugs or something like that, if it's not transactional, then like why would anyone want to be my friend? That's like kind of the thought. I don't know if that comes up for you.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how it felt after I quit, you know, and it's not like they all stopped calling me, you know, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then it kind of maybe reinforces that, right? Of like, well, is that
I
then
knew,
true?
right? Or I knew they weren't safe, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And so like the message that the angels and guides are bringing in is like they're just showing such like a beautiful light inside you that's just been dimmed, and it just is such a possibility. It's not maybe not the right word, but something along those lines. Like it can really grow and be very vibrant. And almost like what they're saying and showing me is that people in both that past life and this life, while maybe consciously they came to you for a service or some type of transaction, they stayed or had an interaction with you for something else. There's a quality about you that they might not be able to name, but it's there. And I can feel it in the session. There's such a like a quiet, loving, kind of compassionate presence. It's very, very positive, very pure kind of energy. And in some ways, some negative energy can really latch onto that very easily. Because of that, when people have that, it can be really hard to keep that energy protected. But there's such an opportunity for other people who are going to treat you better and not have it be transactional to see that. Um, so I mean there's definitely so much there to love, basically is what they're saying, but like kind of you have to start to believe that in yourself.
That sounds about right. Or,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. And so it seems that you have a lot more time in this life to work through this kind of lesson or this challenge or growth opportunity for your soul. You never stopped being a welder in that life, and you kind of live that same life up into the end. There was never a turning point, and now that you're sober, what I'm hearing is like you get a choice to really live differently. Um, and so there's a chance to really pivot away and stop going in those circles and really create a
Mhm.
new path for yourself. But it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not impossible. And I really feel like a really strong belief from your angels and your spirit guides that they really believe that you can do this. And this could be like so much growth for your soul.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there more about past lives that you wanted to explore or something else?
No, I think that's about it. What other kind of past life stuff could we find out about?
I can just tune in and see like if there's
Or is there
another
any
life.
messages? I was just
And
wondering, is there any messages at all for
yeah,
this for me that I haven't touched upon, but
yeah,
messages that they want to tell me or
yeah. I'll kind of see if there's any messages that they feel is important to deliver right now. Yes. Okay. So let me see what they want to share with you. They're saying open yourself up to love. There really feels like there's been like a closing off of that. Um, and that's been really painful for you. I mean, maybe been hard for your relationships and hard to build relationships, but also really painful for you. Um, and not just open yourself up to love from other people, open yourself up to love from yourself, open up love from higher power, kind of whatever you believe. Um, and if you're open to it, Archangel Raphael is open to stepping in and just giving some of that and doing some energy healing work. Would you be open to that?
yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So take a moment to just kind of um you're welcome to just follow along. You can close your eyes, not I will just like basically explain what's happening.
But
Let's see here. So Archangel Raphael is just coming into the space. He's just like basically facing you and putting his hands on your heart space and just like supercharging it is the word that's coming through. Just like so much love, like energy kind of coming towards you. There's like a green light that's glowing, which that's connected. That's the color connected to the heart chakra is green. Um, and he's just putting in so much love because it feels like that's been drained so much in your childhood and over the years. Like other people have taken that, or um, understandably, you've been closed off to that for protection and safety. So he's just filling it up to give you some extra battery, basically, power of love. And giving some love, especially to that boy, that younger version that went through a lot. Giving compassion and understanding of what he went through and why he chose the path that he did and the decisions that he made. Like there's absolutely no judgment is the feeling in what Raphael is saying. Because he feels like you judge yourself. And then he wants to give you a gift, like a necklace with a pendant on it. So I'm just gonna see what that's about. Okay, so he's just putting it over you, and the pendant just kind of protects your heart space while at the same time like continuing to charge it up with love. So it's just almost like in a way because he maybe can't he's not always going to be there to keep charging your heart the whole time, but this is kind of like in the meantime while you learn to love yourself and open yourself up to love, like he's placing that there in the meantime. um and it feels like a really significant gift, like an honor, to have and to give it to you. And he hopes that that can help you understand how much you're worthy of love. So yeah, so that's what he wanted to share with you. How are you feeling?
good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good, good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean these sessions and the healing work can really open up stuff, and this is like letting go of those emotions that have been stored, that energy. So it's good. Although maybe it feels uncomfortable or you might feel drained afterwards, but it's definitely a release.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just want to see if there's any other messages before we wrap up. Okay, let me just take a moment to see if there's anything else. No, I'm kind of seeing the image of like it being wrapped up in a bow, just feeling like this is good for now. Just the biggest message is sending you love, so much love, and that you're worthy and deserving of love. So I think that's a great way to end. We'll end on that. Yeah, so thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it too.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. If this conversation spoke to your soul, go ahead and like it, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to stay connected to more soul-led journeys. Your truth is sacred, your path matters, and you don't have to walk it alone. Until next time, be gentle with yourself.